All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another episode of the World is Blue podcast, formerly Long is Blue podcast. Dan, one of your hosts here alongside Nick. It is part two of our 2024-25 season review for all champions of world football. If you've completed it, this is the podcast for you. If you haven't, go back to your Arsenal fan TV and enjoy crying tears at how bad it's going for you in phase 25 of Mikel Arteta's reign. But look, we are really, really enjoying things here at LIBP HQ, Nick. And if you haven't listened to part one, where we covered the defense with individual player grades, we talked about how we thought the club did, how we thought the sporting directors and the transfer business looked, how we thought the club got on, how we thought Enzo Maresca did. All of that's in part one. Part two, though, it's a little bit of a deeper conversation about other position groups, some of our awards. This is a little bit more of a fun. It ends on more of a fun note than I think of the headier conversation from part one.
Yeah, and we do this every year. We give ourselves, a little bit of grace on like what our previous year analysis was and like how we feel a player evolved over this past season. We're including the Club World Cup in that. We are not factoring in players who just joined during the Club World Cup, as that will be a part of a future analysis. So no Joao Pedro in this group for sure. But, it's just kind of a fun way to go through and give players some flowers or not, as it were. And then to talk through some of the awards, which are always good.
Look, we're going to get in the midfield first then. And, just if you haven't listened to part one, I'm not going to do a ton of spoiling. But, Nick did say that he had two players that he gave 10s to. Mark Cucurella was one. If you haven't listened to the first one, that is a spoiler. Sorry. There's a second one, though. And it's in the midfield group. I'm going to go with Moises Caicedo to start, and I'll let Nick give his score after the fact. I went with a 9.5 out of 10. Unreal player. I don't think there's a whole lot more you can say. He came in as last year as an 8 for us, or 8 for me. He was a 7 for you last season. I thought he looked every bit at the end of that season the player that we paid, a club record fee for, a fee that now Liverpool is probably looking back on and say, man, we should have figured out a way to pay this much money for this guy because he is trending towards elite. And I think the challenge is that I think everybody wants to say oh man, is he like the next N'Golo Kante? It's come on, man. Wait a minute. N'Golo Kante's honors list is stupid. Is absolutely stupid. And also Moises Caicedo is super young still. So let's pump the brakes on that. But is he damn good at what he does? Is he potentially evolving into one of the best in his position in the world? Hands down, yes. And so let's cool down on the absolutely just blowing up, and kind of putting him in a pedestal in an area that he's not yet ascended to. But can we still be super excited about his trajectory right now? I think the answer is yes.
I think he is evolved into the best at his position in the world. I said that after the PSG game. He's a 10 out of 10 for me. Again, I gave Cucurella a 10 out of 10 because we asked everything of him and he delivered. And I think this is the same for Moises Caicedo. We asked everything of him. We asked him to play fucking right back for a portion of the season. We asked him to be the only CDM at the club and to stay off of his yellow card accumulation for a large part of the season. We asked him to be a destroyer. We asked him to be a presser. We asked him to distribute the ball with ease. Gets a couple of goal contributions in there. I genuinely just think he's a 10 out of 10 for me. I am stoked to see his evolution where he is at 27 versus where he is today. I just makes me smile to think about because this is my favorite position to watch on the field every single year. And the fact that we have an elite, I think best in the world option at CDM is just over the moon for me. But he's 10 out of 10. And I think he will, for Chelsea to be Champions League winners or Premier League winners, he's probably going to have to be an 11 out of 10 or 11 out of 10 or 12 out of 10, like N'Golo Kante was for those years. They are completely different players. Let me just say that. he's not a regen of N'Golo Kante. There is no regen of N'Golo Kante. He was a one-off incredible talent. But Moises Caicedo could be a one-off incredible talent of his own, and that's the way we should really treat him, because he's doing shit that nobody in world football is doing. And we're very fortunate to have him. So flowers have been delivered to the address of Moises Caicedo and DeMarco Correa. 10 out of 10. Congratulations, boys. You did it.
And just we're going to clip that one back for anybody who says that Nick Verlaney is never positive on the podcast, because those are
effusive. I'm effusive in my praise, Dan. Come on.
Two key examples. Let's go to Enzo Fernandez next. I think he's another one who last season, I gave a 5, you gave a 6. I'm just going to say it. We both were in lockstep here. 8.5. This was the step up season for Enzo Fernandez. Like, there was that 9-10 game run. Then obviously the entire team took a dump from basically January through March, late March.
Clip that, Sam. Clip it.
It'll be in the Instagram reel for sure. But look, anyway, this is the guy who Chelsea thought they were buying as a World Cup winner and now Club World Cup winner, the only guy to have both. The way that his evolution has happened with some of the contributions from the assist in particular that he's been able to put on for players, getting to play a little bit more further forward, a little less defensive responsibility, like all of that has coalesced in this guy getting used to the maximum of his potential, which is, I think, the frustrating piece of looking back at the prior season, seeing him play almost 3,100 minutes and have 10 goals and assists across all those competitions. Before the Club World Cup, he had played 3,400 minutes and had 22 goals and assists, 8 goals and 14 assists across all competitions. That's a nice step up. That's his best ever senior season. And then you factor the element of the Club World Cup into it, plays another 500 minutes, another goal, another 3 assists, like hands down his best season ever. I mean, this is, again, we're talking about, are you building for the future? I mean, this team looks hella dangerous heading into next year once they're all back and fit and ready. I mean, he's not even 25 yet, Nick. He's 24. He'll be turning 25 at some point this season. And again, you got someone like Moises Caicedo, you got someone like Enzo Fernandez. Like, this midfield, this team is starting to look really, really ripe for that, like a run, like deep runs and everything over the next couple of years. If you keep these players here, if you keep them healthy. Great season for Enzo Fernandez. Super excited for what he accomplished this year and looking forward heavily to, like, again, what's the next level step, particularly with someone like João Pedro coming in, Jamie Gittins coming in, maybe one more attacker coming in. If he's got a bevy of options to deliver to who are all a little bit more clinical, it's going to be really, really fun.
Started the season with the song controversy, ends as a bona fide vice captain in the team. There were rough patches in there, but I do think Enzo Maresca getting the most out of Enzo Fernandez was a big part of why Chelsea ended up where we did. He and Reece James have developed quite the relationship, which is fantastic. And more than anything, he delivered statistically where we thought he would deliver as the 100 million pound plus guy. Like, this is 26 is a great number for a midfielder. It's a great number, especially because a lot of those are assists to other players. He was able to score a few more goals and some really important goals along the way, but as a provider, awesome. And yeah, it was a really great season for him.
So advancing forward, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall is another one. And I think this is an interesting one because he had the connection with Enzo Maresca beforehand, played for him at Leicester, was a absolutely attacking-minded midfielder in his contributions. So do not have a previous season grade for him. I went with 6.5 out of 10. I think heads in the season probably thinks he's going to have an opportunity to really compete for more of a role in the squad. Doesn't end up happening. Really becomes a part of the B squad in terms of the Conference League. But I will tell you, Nick, like, it's not the worst thing in the world to have a couple people who can be a 6'5", just hanging around, available in your squad, who can relieve some players for some minutes, who can come in for some sub minutes. And I think he grew into a couple performances at the end of the season. Like, is he a perfect player? No. Is he going to take Chelsea to a whole new dimension of footballing possibilities? Absolutely not. Does he seem like a nice guy? And did he have a couple good moments out of what I think would kind of probably consider pretty average ones? Yeah. So again, do I think it was the best business this club has ever done? No. Does it kind of cripple us for the future? Nah, not really.
He was just fine. I think really, really struggled at the beginning, found his footing through the latter stages of the Conference League, especially when the midfield was incredibly tired. Ensuring that he gets minutes this year is going to be really, really difficult. But if he is, if he's not willing to do that, I'm sure there are clubs out there who will take him in a heartbeat. And if he does just want to play a smattering of minutes, probably struggling to break 1,000 in 25, 26, then he could do that too. I think this is a guy who really was more of a PSR victim than anything else. And, there's not much more to say about that.
All right. So then to round out the midfield, Romeo Lavia would be the last one. We both did not grade him last year. Again, he was out for the vast majority of the season. This year, he did get over the 1,000 minutes. It was tight, though, Nick. I'm going to tell you, it was real tight. If you did not have the Club World Cup minutes, he would not have made it over 1,000 across all competitions. So ends up, I think to me, is a 5 out of 10. I think, again, you have to be available. You have to be there. You have to be able to kind of contribute. There were a couple of like really good passes, a couple of like fine performances, one or two where it's like, oh yeah, like Lavia in midfield 3 could be good. Not enough here to convince me that like he is anywhere closer to being a part of what I would say is like the true like squad. Like I think in my mind, someone like Andre Santos is ahead of him. Kieran Dewsbury-Hall is available, and so that makes him ahead of Romeo Lavia. Like just in terms of like, can I depend on this player to be here?
Much like West Fofana, I just don't want to even rank him because until he proves us otherwise and is able to get healthy, like the bright flashes don't outweigh the time in which you had to put extra strain on the rest of the midfield core because he wasn't healthy and available. There were good moments in there, and there were really tough moments in there, and like that is, I think, just a factor of where he is. Him and Fofana are basically the same category for me.
Okay. Well, look, that rounds out the midfield. Shockingly, like the midfield was a little thin. It's hopefully not the case this coming season here. But look, when we get back after this ad break, it's all about the attackers because there are a ton to get through there. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. All right. So when it comes to attackers, Nick, surprisingly, Joao Felix did not cross 1,000 minutes across all competitions. So I left him off the list of players that we have to discuss. You're welcome. And then Mark Guiu, who ends up picking up the injury after being kind of our group stage highest goal contributor.
Certainly
in the
would
Conference
have
League.
if he didn't get hurt.
Yeah. He would have had some more minutes. It would have been very, very interesting what his career trajectory would have been and what Chelsea would have done this summer had Mark Guiu potentially had a full season. Like, does it mean we don't go in for Joao Pedro or Liam Delap? Maybe not, but like, would he have been potentially closer to first team true consideration this year? Who knows? So, just think about that as what could have happened. If we go down the list, though, we'll start with Cole Palmer. Last season, no surprise, the scores were pretty high. The scores were off the charts. I literally, I had a 10. You decided to say, you know what? Fuck your rating system, Dan. And you went with an 11. That's what you did. You spinal tapped it. So congratulations. What did you go with this year?
I went with an 8.5. I think the finish obviously helps. The Club World Cup helps him here from a ratings perspective. I think he would have been probably closer to a 7.5 if not for the Club World Cup. He certainly went through a sophomore slump. I think part of that was him. I think part of that, he referenced was like on and off the pitch stuff. Part of that was the system not allowing him to play this free role and be the conduit for everything. So just like throwing this out there, I think all being told, the fact that he still gets, a really good amount of goal contributions for the year. I think 32 was his final tally. where he had 40 the previous year. I think there were times where he had a tougher time of it, but I still give an 8.5. And I mean, the sky is the fucking limit for him.
Oh,
Point
without
blank,
question.
period. I mean,
Yeah.
he is by far the most talented player in the squad. I think on his day has the biggest chance to be a 12 out of 10, 11 out of 10. But,
12 out of 10. You're
Yeah.
like, hey, I already broke the rating system. I'm going to break it again.
Yeah, no, I mean, but I want to see that. I mean, there were times like if we had done the same system when Eden Hazard was part of the team, you would have seen those similar sorts of like special ultra pack ratings. Like this is who he can be, and I'm hopeful that the system will help him get better chances and for other players around him to score the chances that he puts on a plate for them.
Yeah. So I think again, he was very honest about the challenges he faced this season. I'm super excited with how he really came into it at the end of the season, particularly in the Club World Cup, and the way that he just unlocked, I think, a different gear. And you mentioned the whole the Scary Good campaign, and then Have You Been Skinned by Cole Palmer coming at the perfect times for what he decided to start doing to people, particularly the PSG team, all of them. The dry spell in January to effectively April was really rough. That it took a penalty to kind of get him back. Again, you'll take whatever you can get. Like that's not necessarily the greatest thing. I went an 8 only because I think he has set such a high expectation for like what Cole Palmer can be at football that, like, to your point, the sky is the limit. And his 8 is still better than most people's like 10s. So like, I'm very excited for what we can kind of continue to get out of him. It's going to be, if we're not getting as many penalties, like there are going to be more goals that he's going to have to kind of contribute from his own element there. And I think if you have now stronger players on other attackers that can take some of the, 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s away from you, because they're trying to mark you out. They're trying to foul you out because they know how good you are. Like, I think it will be an opportunity for him to springboard back to that, 9.5, even 10 or 11 next year. I think it is absolutely. I mean, look, he's in St. Kitts. He's having a good time. He's riding some jet skis. That man, it looks like he's going to be ready to be locked in for next season after this break. So I'm super excited for what Cole Palmer can do next year. Do you want to talk about Pedro Neto now? I think Pedro Neto is a fun one to talk about.
I do.
Did not get a rating because he was not a part of the squad last season. Where'd you go on Pedro Neto, Nick?
I went 7 out of 10. And I know that there's a lot of recency bias with him. He had a great Club World Cup. I think you could argue he was our player of the Club World Cup for a lot of things. I think there were times in the season he did not have great performances. And so, like, on balance, I think 7 out of 10 is great. This is, for me, a player who grew into the season, was asked to do a lot, was asked to play center forward at times because of injuries and suspensions and all that sort of stuff. It was flexible, was versatile, always gave effort, definitely increased his defensive metrics from where he was at Wolves, started to increase some of his scoring and assisting metrics as well, scored our most important goal of the season, but wasn't always at a huge level. I think he ends the season on a huge jump. I want to see him take that 7 and become an 8.59 in the 2025-2026 season. On balance, I think 7 is a fair grade.
I mean, outside of obviously the tragic loss of Diego Jota, you could argue winning the Conference League final, winning the Nations Cup, and then winning the Club World Cup final. Like, what a kind of like string of weeks to months that Pedro Neto had in terms of like being there and being involved in kind of key moments for teams across a couple of really tough competitions, both for club and country. I went a little bit higher than you. I went with 7.5. It is his best return senior season for a Premier League club ever. And then when you factor in, I think, his contribution in the Club World Cup, I think that's what gave me the little bit of the extra boost over the top here. I do think we're heading into another next season here where Pedro Neto can be one of the guys for Chelsea Football Club. And again, he's 25. He'll be 26 in this season. Like, you got him into the club, and I think people looked at the fee initially and were like, man, it's like, what has he done at Wolves, like really like on the regular to bring him in for like a pretty expensive fee. And I think he's showing that like he can really, really be someone who pushes it like into another gear, another level. I mean, this was the most minutes he's played in a season since 2020 to 21, where he played 2,700 minutes and had 11 goals and assists across all competitions. Like he had 2,800 minutes in all of our competitions prior to the Club World Cup. And so when you kind of factor in the Club World Cup minutes there, like goes above that without any issue, like goes above goals and assists across any issue. Like to me, I'm super excited to see where his next season can go. Because I think he has put himself in a position to be a very key contributor in this team, and also to challenge like incoming wingers like Jamie Gittins to say, hey, if you want to play, if you want a ton of minutes, like step up and be accounted for, because I can be a guy in this league. I can burn people, and the defensive contributions in the Club World Cup final. Like there was a man committed across all areas of the pitch.
Yep.
Jadon Sancho, no longer a part of Chelsea Football Club as he goes back to Manchester United after his loan, but he played a role in helping Chelsea do some business this season. So we want to recognize him on that one. Both a 7 out of 10. I think a 7 out of 10 is a completely fair score. His best senior season for any Premier League club, which is kind of shocking. All of his Manchester United minutes, and does not beat some of his best Borussia Dortmund times there, Nick, but his best time came at Chelsea, and I imagine that's probably going to be the best Premier League football we ever see out of Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, I mean, struggled to impress for part of the year, but then I do think came on strong, scored some absolute bangers, scored some critical goals. Was not to take on artists that I thought he was really going to be. But, you know, again, I think as good as a cheap loan could have gone for Chelsea. And, you know, I think he made the choice that he wanted the wages over being a part of a winner. And so, you know, best of luck to him in his future, but we're moving on.
Here's an interesting one. Nico Jackson. Nico Jackson, at the end of last season, we both gave him 8s because he was a part of the Cole Palmer and Nico show. They had pushed Chelsea, I think, into a much better spot. Again, obviously did not finish in the league where we wanted to in the prior season, but both of them look like really, really strong acquisitions by the club. I think a lot of that actually came to my rating was the fact that when you looked at what he'd done in a half season in La Liga, coming into a Premier League club first year, really held the line very well in terms of like improving himself as a player. And actually, when you look at the underlying stats, they would tell a story that's very different from what you saw on the pitch, was that like he actually was more efficient with his minutes on the pitch, even though some of those misses felt huge in the moment and could have turned the tide in certain games. And so like the quality of the miss, like there's not really a grade for like, like the plus or minus points of a miss necessarily. But there were some rough moments, Nick. 2 red cards this year. One in the Club World Cup and then one in the league, one that could have cost Chelsea a top 4 finish or top 5 finish. What do you say about Nico right now? I went the 6.5, and I feel like that's a pretty fair assessment on some of the year-on-year decline in terms of total overall output, not necessarily like on efficiency.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down on Nico right now. My hope is that he learns from this and comes back stronger and becomes a real competitor in this new striker room that's being developed. I think you're seeing a guy right now who's probably down on himself, down on some of the poor decisions that he made at the end of the season with the red cards, and general just kind of fluffing of chances throughout the second half of the year. It really, really bums me out because I'm wearing a shirt right now. You know, I was so confident that he was going to grow from a 15 goal across all comps sort of guy to, you know, somewhere in the 17, 18, 19 mark. And it really did not happen for him at all this season. He has a lot of work to do. I do hope the club keep him and have him as a rotating option, because there will be moments where we have to call on him. And, you know, I'm hopeful that he has the fighter kind of mentality and wants to break through this crowded group. But yeah, I'm down on him. I think it's a 6 out of 10 for him. And, you know, we'll just see kind of what happens with him in his future.
Nani Madueke has one, again, who contributed this season too, that we will grade, though he did make a very poor decision to sign for a club in London that's not the winners of any true major European silverware. But again, we don't all make the right decision in life. So, that's it's neither here nor there. But I did enjoy. I did enjoy some of the player comments about watch out, I'm coming for your ankles next year. They all stay friends after this fact, which is really nice. I mean, I'm happy that they can joke about these things. Yeah. Stepped up his game season over season. We both gave him sixes last year. I think the attacking runs though were short, and so he did have boon moments and bust moments. I think overall play probably improved. Clinicality could be a little better on the whole. I think it's going to be really interesting to see. I think it's going to be very hard for him to unseat Bukayo Saka at Arsenal. So I think that if you're thinking you're going there for minutes, or you're going to get potentially more minutes than you did at Chelsea last season, be interesting to see if that ends up being the case. I went a 7 out of 10. Again, best actual senior season in football, regardless of when they came from. This was a good year for Nani Madueke, and I think helped secure this move for him too.
Yeah, I give him a 7.5 out of 10. I mean, it's just it's a meaningless grade because he's now moved on. But I thought he was our most dynamic winger for a lot of the season, which our wingers struggled. Again, I think, whatever happens now doesn't really impact. So 7.5 out of 10. Fond memories, kind of a weird character, good guy, but not a Chelsea player anymore. So I shan't bother with too much more on the memories.
All right. Well, then let's go to Christopher Nkunku, who, I mean, all reports were telling us that he was going to be leaving, that he was going to be gone, that we didn't think he was going to play much in the Club World Cup. Surprise, he did. He had an opportunity to contribute there. You did not give him a score last year, I think, due to some of the contribution minutes that he had. I went with a 5, and, I gave him a 6.5. I mean, I think it was a step up over. I mean, he showed up in some of the Conference League games. Some of the games he didn't always look like he wanted to be there, which, again, if your whole mode is that, I'm going to be going someplace else in 7 months, in 6 months, in 5 months, in 4 months, in 3 months, maybe you're not, super excited. And that's perfectly fine. He came to play, though, in the Club World Cup. And he had one really, really awesome goal that I think we'll remember for a very, very long time. So hats off for showing up when you were needed to. If you do end up moving this summer, I hope it's to a place that you want to play permanently. And I guess, I wish it had worked better is what I really wish, because I think he could have been super great for us. Similar like a Timo Werner situation where if you unlocked him, if you hadn't gotten injured, if you hadn't had all this stuff happen, maybe it goes differently. But just enjoy the fact that he got to lift some trophies with us and added some goals in here or there. It's fine.
Yeah, it was a weird season. I mean, he was obviously not happy at Chelsea. He's not happy being the Conference League guy. He wasn't happy when he got Premier League minutes. He just wasn't happy. That somehow changed in the Club World Cup, where he looked like he was really up for it and wanted to play and was interested again. And he scored and assisted and did what he needed to do largely, but it wasn't joyful. It didn't have a team player-y vibe to it. It just had I'm going to go out and do what they asked me, and then I'm going to move on. And so, yeah, let's hope he does get that move, because right now I'm not 100% convinced that he will.
All right, last one. Our good friend Tyreek George. No rating for him last year because this was his opportunity, his moment to say, hey, I'm here, Chelsea. I'm available. For Enzo Maresca to wrap his arm around the young lad and say, you're part of this team. You're part of what I want to build with the Chelsea future here. I think you went with a very favorable score here, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a little biased towards Cobham here,
No,
which is okay. It's our fucking rating system, so we can grade it how we want. But you think about him starting the season, getting the call up to cross the road, as they say in Cobham, to go and be a part of this squad. Him and Josh doing it together, which is super special. And then the long wait to get his first goal, and then him scoring the goal that began to save our season at Fulham, and him being asked to basically play every position except left wing for a majority of his minutes, whether it be striker or kind of in behind the striker, on the right, some minutes on the left, but not nearly what we thought we were going to get out of him. I think the kid is really, really special, and I'm very hopeful that he has a great growth year again and can come back and really challenge, because I do think his ceiling is super high, and potentially that's not going to be what Jamie Gittins at all want to hear. But if he goes and has a really great year this year, maybe on loan, I think that could be a case to come back to Chelsea and do the business.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could go anywhere from like a 6 to 7 and be pretty fine with grading him again, because all it is upside for him in the future. I think that is absolutely the case. I do think a loan might be super interesting if we get deep and we add one more attacker into the side as it stands right now. If he's not going to get another 1,500 minutes or so, I would like to see him get 3,000 somewhere else, like and really see what he's got under the hood there. I went on a 6 out of 10. I think there was some, again, fantastic goal in that game to kind of help out, turn things around. I would say that, again, it's attacking phases. He's just going to mature over time. Again, he's not the perfect product. He's not the finished article. And, I think it kind of sits with where he needs to progress as a player. But again, it is all upside for the guy. He came up through Cobham. He's a Chelsea Academy player. It means if you bring him back into the side, you're kind of doing the right type of squad building here. I mean, I think if you look ahead like 2 or 3 years and Tyreek George and Josh are both a part of the side and contributing, you would say hats off to the sporting directors, to the Cobham and the Academy organization, and Enzo Maresca, if he's still here, to figuring it out and getting him involved in the side. So again, there's a lot of goodness here that we can kind of look forward to.
Yep.
Well, look, it's time for the awards, Nick, but we're going to get our last ad break out of the way. And then when we do that, player of the season, shithouse moment of the season, we've got all the goodies coming up here. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right. The most prestigious honors of the year. Everybody wonders whether or not they won. And we're going to break some hearts along the way, but that's okay. Player of the season to start, Nick. And just for people to recollect, you and I both had Cole Palmer as our player of the season last year. No surprise. And then our young player of the season last season, you went with Malo Gusto. I went with Cole Palmer. You, though, delineate that you can't award the young player of the season to the same person who wins player of the season. I took it under advisement, and I decided, I would follow your rules this season, even though my choice would not have allowed me to do that anyway. So, but I'm going to say that I did it to make you feel better.
Thank you for following what is common sense.
Great. So, should we not surprise anybody and tell them who our player of the season is?
Yeah, I don't know if these awards are going to be like, whoa, you guys really went out on a limb, but no, it's Moises Caicedo. It's obvious he was all over the club's awards. He is now being recognized as what I think he is, which is the best DM in the world. He is the pillar of consistency for Chelsea. I do think that Marco Correa came up just short, all things being said, at the end of this year for Chelsea of being player of the season. But Caicedo is the business, man. He is the absolute business.
All right. So, and just to kind of put ourselves out there, we did say that Palmer might be the player of the season this year. Could have happened. When we go to young player of the season, though, again, no surprise here based upon what we talked about earlier. Levi Colwill was the guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely the guy here. And I don't think there's any discussion about it. I think you had Gusto or Guyu. I had Caicedo as potentially options here. Caicedo actually aged up and out. So that was a miss by me on that one. Big tactical error here. But yeah, I don't think you could say anything else. It's Levi Colwill hands down for the young player of the season.
And this is what I mentioned in part one when we did the analysis. I forgot he was 21 to start the year. I mean, he's still so young. Yeah. And man, just a little bit of consistency around him and him raising his game. Sky is the limit.
Well, I do want to talk about just, again, it doesn't change what actually happened, but I want to more just say that we're going to put ourselves out there for things we get right and things we get wrong. just on terms of like when Chelsea, whoever led the goals and whoever led the assists, got the golden boot for the season. Obviously, goals ended up being Cole Palmer with 18 across all competitions. It was a tie for second between Nico Jackson and Christopher Nkunku at 13. And then for assists, 17 with Enzo. Runner-up was Cole Palmer at 13. And then like total goals and assist contribution across everybody was 31. Cole Palmer. Enzo was the runner-up at 26. Our predictions for goals, you had Christopher Nkunku. I had Cole Palmer. So just want to put that there. And then assists, we both had Cole Palmer. So we both struck out on the assist one there. But one of us hit on the goals one. So at least we have some ball knowledge on this podcast, Nick.
Yeah. My predictions were mostly shit from last year. So fair enough.
All right. Well, most improved is another one that we can kind of talk about here. Prior season, I said Nico Jackson, looking at his La Liga season into Chelsea, which maybe was not a little unfair, but I make the rules, so it works out for me. You went with Conor Gallagher, which I think was a really, really good shout. Our predictions for this year were really good. These were good predictions.
We were better, much better.
Yeah. I said Levi Colwell. You said Marc Cucurella. And I think you can make a case for Levi Colwell, for Marc Cucurella, for Enzo Fernandez. I mean, across the board.
Enzo's the winner for me. I think
so. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, despite the fact that I gave Cucurella a 10 out of 10, I think just like season over season, to me, the output from Enzo was 16 goals and assist difference from, that's a pretty big margin. So any of those would be fine, though.
Oh yeah, I think you're absolutely right. When you look at Enzo, I mean, both of us, like I had a 5 the prior year, you had a 6 the prior year. It goes up to 8.5 for me, goes up to an 8.5 for you. I mean, so that I think kind of shows the element there. I mean, Levi Colwell, I was at a 6, you were at a 7. You gave him a point extra. I gave him 2.5 more. So like, I mean, realistically, it does feel like Enzo is the right call there across all of it, but to have multiple options to say who is the most improved, that just tells you a lot about like where the squad is heading, how players are developing. Best worst transfer business. Last season, we said that it was Cole Palmer was the best transfer in, no surprise. Worst being Romeo Lavia in terms of business done. We did not make any predictions because it's really hard to predict the transfer ones. Sorry.
Yeah.
We are in lockstep, I think, on these. So do you want to tell people the best and then I'll tell them the worst?
Yeah, Portuguese duo here in the best and worst.
Spoilers. Come on.
Pedro Neto was the best, although I think you could argue Tosin as well, just depending on kind of what flavor is best for you. I go worst on Joao Felix. It was a senseless transfer. We didn't need him or his profile back at the club. He was then loaned halfway through the season, did terribly at Milan, and is now looking for another home. And I think Matt Law's point about him is that I think there is a sense of like melancholy around like what he could have been in his career. But for Chelsea to make that transfer was just complete and utter nonsense. It didn't fill a need. It was just a name. It was like FIFA Ultimate Team sort of vibes. And, I wish him the best in his future, but it certainly won't be at Chelsea.
Well, I might have to cancel this award if our predictions continue to go this way for comeback player of the year. Prior season, it was we awarded to Conor Gallagher and Trev Chalobah. Less off the injury one, more just like evolution of the game, which was super interesting. I think this year we kind of built it off of predictions. You had Christopher Nkunku, I had West Fofana on like the true coming back from injury type thing. I would tell you that, he did have technically a sports hernia. So I guess you could consider Enzo Fernandez a really good pick here in this one. But you went with Reece James.
Yeah, I mean, both are fine. I do think Enzo's is more of a performance thing. But I do think that Reece James genuinely coming back from the injury, captain, vibes, bringing the aura back, strong comments at the end of the season, people questioning everything about him. I think position change to midfield halfway through and so on and so forth, trying to figure out how to get the best out of him in an evolving tactical setup. he does come through. And I think, Enzo Maresca said at the end of the year, if he could start with Reese every single game and make it through, no problem, he would. But they're trying to manage him and his fitness and ensuring that he doesn't have another 3-year gap where he barely plays any football. And so, I do think for that reason alone, it's Reese James.
Okay, very fair. I think the people will be interested to hear the comeback player one in the comments. I'm very curious where people are at. Master of the Dark Arts. I don't think there's any debate on this one, though. Any debate. Though you do have the runner-up category here, which I'm very curious about. Prior season, I went with Conor Gallagher. You went with Nico Jackson. Nico Jackson, definitely not the Master of the Dark Arts this year, for sure.
No.
This season, though. Potter. he got busted in potions class.
Yeah.
Anyway, this season, though, no surprise, Mark Cucurella, penguin dancing all the way to collect that award as Master of the Dark Arts. You do have some honorable mentions, though, which I'm not in disagreement with a couple of these.
Yeah, Cucurella for sure takes it, but I do think Tosin Adarabioyo has a wonderful bit of dark arts about him. He loves getting involved in a scrap. He loves making sure that he is the enforcer for one Cole Palmer. That's great. I do think Moises Caicedo gets away with a hell of a lot, and I think has started to develop the I'm going to make the strong challenge, but make my body look like
walk
I'm
away.
Not. And I think there's really something to that for sure. And him kind of evading extra suspension while on 9 yellows was really something. And then Enzo Fernandez does have a little bit of dark arts to him as well. And I think you start to see that grow a little bit throughout the season. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see if you guys had honorable mentions in the dark arts category, who you thought they would be. Because I think they're in a Chelsea team that I think our hope is that we become insufferable winners. I hope that there are more than just these guys moving into a very, very packed football season in 2025, 2026.
It will be interesting. So he's definitely not a master of the dark arts, but could someone like Liam Delap coming to Chelsea?
I knew you were going to say it. Yeah.
Could he, again, this is it's food for thought as we are 3.5 weeks or so away from the start of the Premier League season, which means in a week and a half, we'll be doing season preview episodes because that's just the way this calendar year works. 13 cards for Liam Delap last year across basically 2,700 minutes, 32 starts, 40 matches played. It would be interesting to see, could he get down to some high single digit number and just be an absolutely monster? Yeah. Oh, so ready for it. But we'll save that for the season preview episodes. We have our 1953 8-1 tribute. It's when Chelsea lost to Wolves 8-1. Prior season results that we looked at that we did not love. I had the Arsenal 5-0 loss. You had the Wolves 4, Chelsea 2 loss. This season, I think the two matches that took it out of me in the entirety of it was the Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0 result, where neither team had an XG above 0.7. I think it was 0.7 and 0.4, and they absolutely stole that game. So infuriating.
Kind of gave it to them, but yeah. Yep.
And then the 2-0 loss to Ipswich Town, where we gave them those 3 points, completely checked out performance from the team. I think those were the two losses that sent me the most this year. But you have a couple others as well.
Yeah, it was a really weird year of results, and there were some really bad ones in here. Brighton 3, Chelsea 0. Terrible game. That was peak of everyone should get fired talk. So that was pretty tough. Chelsea 1, Legia Warsaw 2. Didn't show up, didn't care to play that game at home, lost to a Polish team. Tough result. Chelsea 2, Ipswich Town 2. Got 1 point off of Ipswich in a game where we just didn't play that well at all. And I think the team kind of took their foot off the gas and played 45 minutes of football. All 3 of those games made me lose my head for sure. So combined with yours, I think there are a fair amount of match selections. This is another fun one for the audience. Which match made you lose your head the most in the 24-25 season? Yeah, lots of options.
Well, then we have the 8-0 best win. because Chelsea have beaten Villa and Wigan both 8-0 over the years.
And now Noah. Come on,
Noah
Dan.
too. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
shit. I need to update this one. No, but Noah's a friend. Noah's such a. I can't do that to them.
They're a friend.
Like that is too cruel. That is too cruel of you, Nicholas. I don't appreciate the way that you talk about our friends at Noah.
The friends you make along the way, Dan. That's really the conference league.
Really unkind of you. This is why people get on your back. Prior season, I went with United 3-4 to Chelsea. It was a phenomenal end result there. Ooh. Yeah. You went with the Chelsea 5-0 West Ham, which was another great result. Look, I did go. I hit the easy button in this one. Chelsea 3, PSG 0.
Which is correct. Which is correct.
But you did the hard yards, and you said, you know what? I'm going to come up with multiple other options. I do have one in here that I think your last one to me is the one I would have picked if not for the result here. So I'll let you share your list.
Chelsea 4, Brighton 2. Mad game, tons of mistakes, a lot of fun. Cole Palmer free kick in that one. That was tasty. Chelsea 2, Newcastle 1 at the early part of the season. That was the best team that we had beaten in the league. They were really, really good. And we just beat them off the park. That was probably my goal of the season in that game. Palmer 100%. Out to Neto over to Jackson. That was fantastic. Yeah. Chelsea 1, United 0. We finally beat these fuckers 2 years in a row. And it was ugly as hell, but it was a really good win. And then, of course, Fulham 1, Chelsea 2. The comeback from Ty George and, of course, Pedro Neto getting the winner. There's a lot in that one. It was a terrible game to watch, and we stole it at the end, just like they stole it at the end at Stamford Bridge. It was the Uno reverse card in match fashion at the end of the year, and really was probably the most important result of the season. So lots to like in there, but Chelsea 3, PSG 0 is tough to beat.
Yeah, I agree. All right. The most prestigious award that the Lens Blue podcast hands out every single year, the shithouse moment of the season, built upon the shithouse moment of the match that Nick Verlaney patented. What do you have for the people here, Nick? What's the one, or is it a little bit of a photo finish here? Because I think you had a couple that are just so tight that you're having a hard time picking.
Yeah,
you give me a couple. I'll help you pick. I'll help you pick the final choice.
I'll give you 3 options, and okay. I'm sure I'm missing some. So if you're out there, and this is another great one to comment on, your favorite kind of shithouse moment would be great. Compared to the previous year, I don't know if there were as many shithouse moments. All right, so let me just say that. I do think that Cole Palmer, after interviewing after the Conference League win and after the Club World Cup final, really started to show a little bit of that shithouse attitude. I think you saw him play in those finals with a bit of a shithouse attitude as well. Some of the pushing and shoving with Fabian Ruiz and all that sort of stuff in the final of the Club World Cup were great. But when the CBS crew asking him how he's going to celebrate the Conference League win, and him like deadpan into the camera going no comment and then leaving, or having the trophy in his shorts, that's pretty damn shithouse to me. I love that from Cole Palmer. There were many scrums where Tosin and Trev got involved to break up some shenanigans, but there was one I believe in the Conference League final where Enzo Fernandez gets trampled on, and then Tosin decides he wants all of the smoke and comes over and just starts sandblasting people out of their little scrum. The enforcer showed up, and that was very fun for me. And then Marc Cucurella, hair pulled in the Club World Cup final, gets Joao Neves sent off, then lays there, and people try and pick him up, but he stays in the little cocoon at the end of the year, or at the end of the game. Absolutely love that one as well. And those are my 3. So I don't know. I didn't have like a great one there, but I think it's those 3 for me.
I'll give you one honorable mention, and all right. Again, there's a lot of recency bias because of like what winning the Club World Cup has done for Chelsea fans to be able to body other supporters digitally, in person, for multiple years now. I did like the journalist who asked Enzo Maresca the question about like, would we suffer for large periods? And then he basically was like, who said that? and like gave them like the like shittiest response look. It was fantastic.
I'd say Levi then too, because he had some of those same questions in that interview, and he gave that little smirk. I don't know. Yeah, lots of good ones though. What's your pick of the litter?
If I'm picking from the list that you put together, I do think Cole Palmer, big game Cole Palmer, post Club World Cup final, I think is it. He is it. He's the guy. I think he gets all of it, for sure.
People talking a lot of shit. That's that. Yeah,
people are. Look, we're closing the book now, Nick, on the 24-25 Chelsea football season.
The longest season of our lives. We did it.
The longest season of our lives, but the one that brought us way more joy than we thought it would at the beginning of it. And I mean, that's because you also count the Club World Cup in this season too. So the way that works. That's going to do it, though, for this one. We hope that you enjoyed this. We have tons more content coming your way in the coming weeks and this summer, too. We got good friend Matt Law over the next couple of weeks. We're going to try a little call-in show action, more details on that through social and other things, too. Get some business of Chelsea as well. And then, look, the week of August 3rd, it's back to season previews because
it's 2 weeks away.
Chelsea have a match against Bayern Leverkusen on the 8th of August, and they've got a match on the 10th of August against AC Milan to kickstart the season because, again, we're playing Crystal Palace on the 17th of August. It is less than a month away.
If Mike Maignan just stays at Chelsea, do you think, what do you think?
I don't know. But anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment on YouTube, leave 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's always appreciated. Also, if you write up a nice review too, it's always appreciated too. Don't forget to subscribe to our free weekly newsletter, The Lens Blue Dispatch, written by our good friend Sam, CFC Central. You also can join our Discord community in a free or paid capacity. But that's going to do for this one. So until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.